Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is 12 o'clock. We're close to it. It's very close to 12 o'clock. Very close. Very close. It's 12 o'clock. 12 p.m. October 9th, 2024. And yes. How can we say it? We're getting toward the end of the year. Let's see. We only have November and then December. So there's only 2 more months before Christmas. 2 more months before Christmas. And wow, how the years gone by. Some things went well. Some things did not go well. Some things can definitely go better. But that's what life's about. Keeping it going forward and just going for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get down to business here. Let's start off with prayer. And I thought I might try to do a structured prayer, but time ran short, and I didn't have time to structure it. So we're going to freelance pray again. Freelance pray. I would like to say to Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you for so much. Thank you for opening my eyes to so many things. Thank you for a beautiful day here in Boston, where different parts of the country, like Florida, they're having a hurricane, and hopefully the water won't be too bad, and no loss of life. Hopefully, but these things bring us closer to God. All the adverse situations are meant to bring us closer to God, and um, if we take that opportunity to use adversity as a means of strengthening our relationship with God and strengthening ourselves in our faith, I believe good things will come from it. So I'm hoping that there's no loss of life, there is very little damage, and that everyone escapes Hurricane Milton unscathed. Ask this in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, first off, it's October 9th, and you know it's birthdays. Birthdays! But um, I think the first birthday that I am going to do is my daughter. I have a daughter. My daughter Amira. Today is her birthday, and I'm not going to give out the year she was born because she's trying to hold back the years. Yeah, she's trying to holding back the years. She's trying to. When she was young, she couldn't wait to get older. Now that she's older, she's trying to get younger. It's not always the case. Happy birthday, Amira. I did text you, but I believe you're on some sort of cruise somewhere. And you're probably down there in the Gulf where the hurricane is happening. I told you to stop going on those cruises, but happy birthday. Love you. Okay, let's make our way to birthdays here. We have, oh, you know what? And I'm gonna be so remiss and mad at myself because we have some things that we could upload here and make it much better. Let's get rid of this, 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 and that, and that, and that. And you're probably saying, "What are you talking about?" Well, on the screen here we have pictures or images that we could use for various things. Um, Bring them up, put them up on the screen, and uh, get these going. And I will show you in a second um, some of the things that we could do with this. Bada boom. Let's get these two people in here. We'll be ready to rumble. Happy posthumous birthday. Yeah, that means yeah, those days are past. Happy posthumous. Is that the way to say it? Posthumous birthday. Happy posthumous birthday to Moses Fleetwood Walker. Yes, Moses Fleetwood Walker. You're like, who is he? Well, there's a reason why you don't know who he is. Moses Walker was born on October 7th, 1856. 1856. Now, I know you guys are going to say, man, that's really old. But remember now, before there was 1856, there was a 1756, and then it was a 1656, and this even the 1950s in the decade that I was born. So, what I'm trying to say is that life goes on. Life goes on, everybody. And just because it was 1856 does not mean it was that long ago, just 170 years ago. But it's still relatively short. I mean, we have mummies that are 3,000, 4,000 years old. So, Moses, let's bring Moses up here. Moses is on this team here. And I know you're probably going to say, where is Moses? He's on this team. Actually, he's not on this team. I don't know what they did. Somebody cut him out. That's actually his brother there. You see, Moses is credited with being the first black man to play Major League Baseball. There's Moses right there, way back there. He's over to the left, and I don't know if you can see my pointer here, but he's to your left, right next. He's right underneath the guy who has a hat and a jacket on. And so Moses is sitting right underneath him. The more dark skinned black man that you see there is Weldy Walker, his brother, who played right field. His brother, Moses, they called him Fleetwood Walker. No, actually, his name was Moses Fleetwood Walker. So they called him Fleet. Moses Fleet Walker. Maybe he was fast. Maybe that's it. So Moses is right there. He's a good looking guy. He's got his beard shaved and hair all done right. And you know what I noticed? These guys are wearing ties. Can't we go back to these days where there was decorum, where people had respect for one another? They had respect for themselves. Not a bunch of gold chains around their neck and earrings. No, none of that. Not with their hair dyed, green or yellow. These guys cared about themselves and their family. They didn't want to disgrace their families. And if you were a baseball player, you wore a tie. Moses was a standout athlete in high school as well as at the University of Michigan. He played for semi professional and minor league clubs around Ohio, where he was born. And then he joined the Toledo Blue Stockings of the American Association, which was a major league team at that time, for the 1984 season. Oh gosh, the 1884 season. Moses Walker lasted 1 year before retiring due to injuries. But, and we talk about this all the time, he had his cup of coffee in the major leagues. Yes, he did. Moses Walker, um, 1850, born in October 7th, 1856, was the first black man credited with playing in Major League Baseball. Was a catcher and did pretty well for himself. I mean, went to the University of Michigan, went to another college before that. Then after that, he became a successful businessman, and he was a postal worker. This guy, he had his hands in everything, and we salute you. Next up, next up, and you guys aren't going to believe this. Next up is Brett Favre. Happy birthday to Brett Lorenzo Favre, who was born October 8th, 1965, in Gulfport, Mississippi. Now, Brett was the quarterback on this high school team, and his father was the coach. But Brett very rarely threw the ball. He ran a wishbone option offense because, well, according to his father, they had pretty good running backs, but they didn't have great receivers or good receivers. So they had more good running backs than they had receivers. So because of that, the offense uh, was basically a running off offense. And well, Brett, he ran the ball too, as well as, well, optioned it off, but he didn't throw it a lot. In fact, he really threw it all. So when the Southern Mississippi assistant coach watched Favre play for 2 games, he didn't see him throw the ball. And he was about to leave during the second game, saying, "Well, I've had enough." Well, wouldn't you? He came there to see a quarterback, and The guy's basically just handing the ball off and not doing anything. Not being a full quarterback. But then Brett Favre dropped back and passed. And to quote the assistant coach, Mark McHale, he described it saying the ball had smoke and flames coming off it, meaning yeah, Brett Favre was one of the hardest throwers of the football in the National Football League. I've heard people say that Joe Namath's ball made noise when it came to you. It was humming or whizzing. Uh, Gosh, does anybody really want to catch that? I mean, is that like at half speed? Is it when full speed? It's even faster. What the heck is going on? But that was Brett Favre, and that's what made him must-watch TV for many of year in the NFL. Now, Brett went on and got a scholarship from Southern Mississippi. He upset number six Florida one year. The next year, he upset number one. He upset Alabama. I don't know if they were ranked number one at the time. And based on that, now we're talking about a smaller division school. It, you know, he was drafted in the second round by the Atlanta Falcons. But the Atlanta Falcons, being Atlanta Falcons, don't know a good thing when they see it. And typical Atlanta Falcons, they didn't play him. The coach's name was Jerry Glanville. I forget the quarterback, but he was a guy they paid some money to, so he was going to play. And that's the way it is in the NFL, even today. The guys who get paid the money are the guys who play. Now, it could be another guy there better, but you're not going to get in. So Brett Favre was traded. Next year, they basically dumped him off to the Green Bay Packers. And the rest is history. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The rest is history. Favre had 321 consecutive starts from 1992 to 2010. That's 1992 when he was traded to the Green Bay Packers. That's when he was traded. He was drafted in 91, traded in 92. From that date, he started 321 consecutive games, the most in league history. He was also the first quarterback to obtain 70,000 yards, 10,000 passes, 6,000 completions, 500 touchdowns, and victories over all 32 teams, including, well, there is no including after you say all 32 teams. But in addition to that, is what I should say, he was MVP three times, and he won the Super Bowl out of two tries. Once he won it. Well, you can't beat that. And we have to thank the Atlanta Falcons for not wanting Brett Favre so they can go start with a real team like the Green Bay Packers, a storied franchise who deserved them. Not at all like the Atlanta Falcons. Gosh. You imagine Atlanta getting somebody and actually doing something with them? I mean, really? They had to go back and get a retread, Kirk Cousins. Well, moving right along. Happy birthday to former New England Patriot, Stephen Neal. Now, Stephen Neal is an odd story, very odd. But what's good about it is that he was a Patriot. And as a Patriot, uh, he carries weight no matter what. So, for all you people who don't like Stephen Neal or don't know him, it's too bad. Because Stephen Neal was a New England Patriot and a Super Bowl winning New England Patriot. Not just a New England Patriot from the 60s or the 70s, but one who won a couple of things. Now, what makes Stephen Neal so interesting? Now, I should say this. Happy birthday to former New England Patriot Stephen Neal, born on October 9th, which is today. I'm just going to say October 9th, in San Diego, California. Now, Neal is a former world champion wrestler. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. A two-time NCAA world champion and a three-time Super Bowl champion, but he was also a world champion in freestyle wrestling. A world champion in the Pan American Games. I mean, and a couple of other ones. So Stephen Neal was a wrestler, primarily a wrestler. And I say primarily, I mean 99% of a wrestler, because Stephen Neal never played a college football game at all. He was drafted by Bill Belichick. And I mean, the longer it goes, as we watch the debacle there in New England, the more appreciative I become of Bill Belichick and his acumen or his creativity. Stephen Neal he was a wrestler that Bill Belichick drafted as a football player and turned into a football player. He became a three-time Super Bowl champion and he played for 10 years. 10 years. Was a starter from 1994 on. He came in 91, played a little bit, not too much on that team. Um, did some more with 92, 93, and became full time starting in the NFL in 94, and they won a Super Bowl that year. But there he is, a guy who never played one game of football. That means there's hope for you and me. All of us who never played not one game in college, the NCAA or any other IAA, whatever you might want to call the college conference. If you didn't play in a college game in college, okay, listen, if Stephen Neal could do it, maybe maybe you can too. Okay, how's that? That's my push to tell you never give up, never surrender, keep going on and keep your dream alive. That being said, when we talk about dreams, well, my dream of being able to predict a NFL uh, um, weekend of winning, well, that's about done. You see, do we got anything to correlate with that? Uh, um, hmm, no, that would mean that I won. I definitely didn't win. So here's where we're going next with this. Yes, I'm going to need psychiatric help. What was my record this week? Now I've been 8-8 for the past 3 weeks. 8-8, but that didn't happen this week. This week we went 6-8. You know, if it wasn't those two buy games, it was the two buy games that did it. If it hadn't been for those two buy games, I would have been 8-8 again. Who knows? I might have been um, 10-6. Ladies and gentlemen, now I can't blame the NFL anymore. I really can't, because this has to be status quo. I mean, we know what's going to happen. I took Tampa Bay and Atlanta beat them in overtime. I took Minnesota against the New York Jets. Oh, got that one. I took Carolina with Andy Dalton, who looked like the Red Rocket of old, going against Chicago with a rookie quarterback. Who knew Chicago beat them? I took Cincinnati at home. I mean, Cincinnati just finally won a game. Maybe they're catching the stride. Baltimore, on the other hand, has been crushing people. They've been prone to take it easy, make errors. Uh, no, no. Baltimore won. Baltimore won convincingly. All right. So I'm already down in the hole. I think 3 games to 1. New England, Miami, without a quarterback, without even Tagovailoa. The two attacks, no two attacks, no Skylar Thompson. They're down to a third string quarterback, and don't even nobody needs to remember his name. I won't. Going into England, to New England, to take on Jacoby Brissett, who was their first string quarterback. A third string quarterback going against a first string quarterback, and the first string is at home too. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Okay, Patriots lost. Luckily, I know Deshaun Watson, and I know he's washed up. Yeah, he's gone. He's done. So Cleveland against Washington. I took Washington, even though Jaden Daniels is a rookie quarterback. Yeah, I think they beat him like 34-14. In the seventh game, Indianapolis was going to Jacksonville. Indianapolis with Joe Flacco. Yes, that seems like a pretty good deal, right? Joe Flacco Had a great year last year. Um, but of course, Cleveland. Is Cleveland related to Atlanta? What I mean by that is that Atlanta always blows a good thing, and Cleveland does too. Okay. Um, Joe Flacco came in for Deshaun Watson. It took them to the playoffs. The playoffs. And how did they reward him? They let him go for some high price guy that they paid so much money for that they're scared to look like they made a bad investment. Well, you did. You made a bad investment. Deshaun Watson is terrible. I don't know if he could ever read a defense. I really don't. I mean, it's been so many years. And he scrambled. He was a hard worker. He really worked hard. So I'm not too sure that he could ever read a defense. And the problem now is that I don't know if he can now or not because he can't seem to pull the trigger on anything he sees. Bad for a quarterback. Now, this has been going on for 2 years. I mean, last year was somewhat acceptable when he finally came back from the suspension. Okay, yeah. But now we're into the sixth, going into the sixth, seventh game of the season, and um, might never come back. No. So I think what I'm saying is, I think how I started all this was Joe Flacco with Indianapolis going into Jacksonville, who hadn't won a game. And what happened? Yeah, you guessed it. Jacksonville won their first game of the season. Yeah, that's right. They beat I think it was 38-34. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you, ladies and gentlemen. 38-34. I'll even give you the final. I'll tell you right now. 37-34. Washington beat Cleveland 34-13. Miami beat New England 15-10. Baltimore beat Cincinnati 41-38 in overtime. So that's just recapping. Well, let's just talk about Carolina. Chicago with the rookie quarterback beat the Carolina Panthers 36-10. Okay, I don't know what to say, but let's move on. I know that's what to say. Next game we have Buffalo. Buffalo was traveling to Houston, and it wasn't that I had so much confidence in Houston. It's just I have less confidence in Buffalo with Josh Allen. That's right, Josh Allen, the running quarterback. Yep. Okay. Well, they lost. Buffalo lost to Houston 23-20. I had that one right. Next game, Las Vegas goes to Denver. I took Denver. Yes, I did. And they won. Denver won 34 to 15. 34-18. Las Vegas, whether it's Antonio Pierce or Josh McDaniels, well, they're not very good. Devontae Adams wants out. He wants out. He says, trade me. Don't even bother to think about anything else. I'm not getting on the field. Trade me. Um, Next destination, New York Jets. Who fired Robert Saleh? Well, I did mention the Jets lost. Yeah, the Jets lost in Minnesota in London, 23-17. And after that, they fired Robert Saleh, the coach. Now, I don't think Saleh was that bad, but that guy Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that big free agent you guys signed last year, New York management owner, big whopping mistake. And now to try to cover the mistake, you fired Robert Saleh. We'll get back on that later. Next game, we have Arizona going to San Francisco. Arizona. You must be kidding me. With Kyler Murray and no receivers, and they're traveling Brock Purdy, Ayuk, Samuels. Gosh, what happened? San Francisco lost. Am I crying? No, I'm not crying. I know 24-23. They lost by 1 point. But still, they lost. And I'm not crying. There's no tears coming up. But this is really weird. Um, I'm, I think I'm just giving myself a mea culpa, huh? An alibi. That is weird. How about I pick them better? I mean, I should have saw that coming, right? Green Bay travels to Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Rams. Yes, I picked Green Bay to win, and Green Bay won 24-19. Not much, but they did win. New York then traveled to Seattle. And Seattle has looked like an all American, world beaten team with Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, um, and gosh, well, all those guys. And what happened? New York, who can't, who can barely get out of their way. Daniel Jones coming back from the ACL was out all last year. They won. They went in Seattle and beat Seattle. I'm not kidding you. New York Giants. The New York Giants. Okay. Moving on. Dallas travels to Pittsburgh. And in the battle of choke artists, well, Dallas managed to, not choke as much as Pittsburgh did. They won with seconds left on the clock through a touchdown, 20-17. And I think they're at 2-2 now. What was it? 3-2? I think they're at 2-3. Oh, well, anyway, they got a better record than my fantasy football team. They got a better record than what I'm putting out here. And last but not least, New Orleans traveled to Kansas City. I decided to go with the upset, and no, there was no upset. Kansas City, 26-13. They put the boots to New Orleans in Kansas City. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was my week. Terrible, terrible. And I wish I could sugarcoat it. I wish I could say something different, but I can't. It was just that bad. And I deserve all no applause. I deserve all the cat calls that you can send me if you want to send a comment and say how bad I am, how terrible I am for coming up at 6-8. I can accept it and I deserve it. And hopefully I'll do better this week. But there's no guarantees. Believe me, don't bet on any prediction that I make. Obviously, don't bet the house on it because you're not coming to stay with me. That's all I can say. Let's get on to next week. Next week, week 6. Let's begin. San Francisco is traveling to Seattle. Two teams that have lost last week. This is on Prime Video at 8:15 tomorrow. San Francisco is favored by 3.5. Really? 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 Okay. Um, I'm going with Seattle. I'm just not. I just can't trust in anything anymore. Not trusting in any of these odds. Let's go with Seattle. Jacksonville is traveling to Chicago. Oh gosh, here we go again. Chicago, Jacksonville, Chicago, Jacksonville. Chicago should lose. Chicago's favored by 2.5. Based upon that, I'm going Jacksonville. That's right. I'm going to be the anti-lineman. Arizona's traveling to Green Bay. Listen, this has got to stop. I'm going with Green Bay. And Green Bay is favored by 5. Oh, I just put myself in trouble there. Indianapolis is traveling to Tennessee. And here's my predicament. Here's my dilemma. If Joe Flacco's in there, I'm going with Indianapolis. If it's Richardson, I'm going with Tennessee. I'm hoping it's Flacco. Going with Indianapolis. Houston is traveling to New England. Houston. Tampa Bay is traveling to New Orleans. Now, this is a divisional matchup, which are always tough. And both of these teams lost last week. This is going to be a rock'em, sock'em, knockdown, drag out battle. I guarantee it. This could be a high scoring game. What do we have here? We have Tampa Bay favored by 3. No, I'm going with New Orleans. Cleveland's traveling. Cleveland. I'm sorry, I gotta laugh. I mean, that's a story franchise with Marion Motley, Jim Brown, Leroy Kelly, now Cleveland with Deshaun Watson. He's traveling to Philadelphia. Um, Philadelphia has a 9 point odd. I'm taking Philadelphia. I'm going to go with the odds on this one. Washington is traveling to Baltimore. I'm going with Baltimore. Los Angeles Chargers are traveling to Denver to take on Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and the Denver Broncos. And what am I going to do? I mean, Denver is looking really good now. Uh, I'm going Los Angeles Chargers. Pittsburgh is traveling to Vegas. Uh, Mike Tomlin has lost 2 in a row. Can he make it 3? Are they going to come back? Now he has a quarterback situation. He doesn't know who to start, which I knew was going to happen. You should have got rid of Russell Wilson, and now you got this guy, Justin Fields, and you would have a backup. But now you're going to get a quarterback controversy, and it's going to get worse. And from there, just because Vegas has lost with Gardner Minshew and Devontae Adams doesn't want to play, and wow, which team do you go for? Well, I'm going for Pittsburgh. Um, Not that I think. Oh, Pittsburgh's favorite. I can always blame the odds makers. Next, we have Detroit going to Dallas. Detroit football. Detroit's favored by 3. Now, we have Atlanta traveling to Carolina. Come on. Come on. I'm going with Atlanta. Then we have Cincinnati traveling to the New York Giants. You can't be serious. Let me see what I can get on this. A little something, just a little background on New York. In no, there isn't. I can't see their records, but they're pretty bad. Actually, I think New York has won more games. I still don't trust them. Cincinnati is a favorite in this one, but they were favored to beat New England in Cincinnati. So this doesn't look good. But the Giants are not a home team. Now they're not a home team. I mean, they don't play any different at home than they do. As a matter of fact, I think they play better on the road. So I'm taking Cincinnati. And then the Monday night game, we have Buffalo traveling. We have Buffalo traveling to New York, which is Buffalo, New York, traveling to New York City, New York. Oh, really? New Jersey, the Meadowlands. No, this is just so confusing, right? But anyway, let's just say this. You have the Bills traveling south to take on the Jets. And the Jets lost abysmally. And Aaron Rodgers looks a little bit worn. Yeah, looks a little bit worn. That being said, Buffalo's got to win a game. I'm going with Buffalo. And so there you have it. And Buffalo's favorite for 2.5. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. I got to do better than 6-8. I have to. Have mercy on me. Fate and fortune. I got to do better than 6-8. Tomorrow, I have a special podcast that I'm going to put out. It's on Caitlin Clark and racism in America. Caitlin Clark and racism in America. So tune in for that one. This is a short podcast today, just 40 minutes. And I got you guys in and out. Actually, it was 30 minutes. But tomorrow, tune in for Caitlin Clark and racism in America. I want to shed some spiritual light on the direction that America is going in and the perils ahead. Perils ahead if they don't get their act together. If we don't get our act together, they would be us because I'm an American too. But we have a serious problem with racism in America. And we need to discuss it. And we will do that tomorrow. I'll see you then. And on that, I give you my bumper music on the way out. Hear those drums? That's it, ladies and gentlemen. You have a very good day and enjoy yourselves.